Hi, welcome back. Thanks for watching all our videos. Hope you're finding it useful. Let's talk about cost of capital or cost of equity slash discount rate in this video. Okay, so we'll start with basic fundamentals and then we'll move towards financial concepts. So, imagine you are in the business of selling potato chips. Okay, so you see that all the industry, your competitors are making 15%, right? In euros. So, how much you should be making at least to create value? The answer is at least 15% because all my competitors and industry are making that, right? That's fundamentally discount rate or cost of equity or cost of capital. So, what are these cost of equity or cost of capital? Imagine somebody tells you that this biotech company's cost of capital is 15%. What does it mean to you? To understand this, let's see this particular slide. Okay, if you see this slide, you can see that an asset can be funded only two ways. Okay, it can be funded either by equity or it can be funded by debt. So when you go to raise equity to the investors, they demand you certain required rate of return, right? And remind me, what is the required rate of return? How do they find out? So they try to understand that how much they are actually making, how the industry is making, how the competitors are making. Based on that, they set their own expectations. Okay. So let's say you are in the business, in the biotech business, and you raised equity. So the shareholders, the equity shareholders will demand you 15% rate of return, for example. Okay. So that's the cost of equity. So what's cost of capital? An asset can also be funded by equity and debt, right? As you saw in this particular slide. So it's the total cost of the company to finance itself. Okay. So if somebody tells you that, okay, the cost of capital is 15%, that means the company is funded by both equity and debt. Okay. And that's the cost and that's the required rate of return you have to make it. When you have to make it, that depends on industry to industry. In biotech, it's around 4 to 5 years. It could be longer. In tech, it's slightly lower. Okay, it might be 2 to 3 years. So if the cost of capital is 15%, that means you're expected to at least make 15%. So what happens if you make more than 15%? Let's say 20%, 25%. Now, that measurement, you do it by return on invested capital. In other words, also capital efficiency. So how much capital you're putting it into the business and how much you're getting out. Okay. So of course, if you're making 25% and your cost of capital is 15%, you're generating a lot of value, to the investors, right? Same is the capital efficiency concept, right? You put a small amount of capital, okay, and you see how much you can maximize the return, right? We are going to talk about capital efficiency in detail in the next video, but I would like to point out a very important thing here. Now, let's say the cost of capital of a biotech company is 15%. Normally, you will not find a classic biotech company having a return on invested capital or capital efficiency of 20% or 21%. You know why? Because most of the biotech companies have statistically fatal property in providing the returns. That means that, as you know, most of the biotech companies fail. It's only the small percentage, okay, that give huge amount of return. Okay, so I'm sure you might have heard about power laws. If not, we are going to talk about power laws in the coming weeks. But Pareto's law is also similar to power laws. It's a part of the power law where it tells you that 80% of the return is generated by 20% of the companies, and it works very well in real life as well, right? You might be making hundreds of decisions, but you will see that 80% of the value is generated by only 20% of the decision that you make. Similarly, most of the returns are made by a very handful of companies. That's why it follows a power law concept. Okay, this is just for your information, but the whole idea to conclude in this video was that what is cost of equity, what is cost of capital. Okay, cost of equity is what your equity shareholders demand. Cost of capital is the cost of raising money for the whole company. Okay, thanks for watching.